Assalamualaikum everyone. It's Arif Khan here for our weekly podcast, Iceland podcast. Today we are reviewing week number 6, and today we got a good show for you guys. We have a couple of special guests and a lot of changes that have happened in the league in the last couple of days actually. So we're going to talk about all of those. So let me first bring in our usual suspects here. Ahmad, Assalamualaikum. Nan,
Assalamualaikum.
and of course Omar right here. And today, one of our special guests is actually the GM for Team Iman. So please welcome Mr. Jihad. Hey, G.
Assalamualaikum.
How you doing, man?
Good. Alhamdulillah. How are you?
Good. Welcome to the show, man. It's your, I think, your first time.
Yes, it is.
Cool. So without any further ado, why don't we just get into it? So Jihad, last week, your buddy there, Saudagar, he had some colorful comments directed towards you. So I'm sure you're going to have a lot to say about that. In fact, as chance would have it, this is our usual lineup, but the first thing we do is we do the recaps. And guess what the first game is? Rida versus Isan. So, G, we'll give you the floor for this one.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. Actually, surprisingly, I think the worst part about this was that Saudagar made the prediction that his team would lose. But outside of that, the man didn't end up showing up. So, not sure how much of a difference he would have made, considering he doesn't have that many anyway to be good. But just an interesting note there. Everyone that's been drafted after him has more points than him by a long shot. But anyways, this was an interesting game. I don't think they had their usual goalie. Is that right? I think they had.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think that was a key disadvantage in this game for sure. And I don't know, was Hamza there? I don't recall if Hamza was there.
No, he was away.
Yeah, so they had
2/3 of our top line.
Yeah, they had some. They were definitely short some guys, but that was the big key factor. Those two factors were really big in this game. So hence the blowout. But typically a game like this, I think, would be fairly close.
Well, Hanan, you were on the other side of this loss. Oh, sorry, of the win. What did you see from your perspective?
Honestly, we just snapped right from the get-go, and I think we started off strong. I think our mentality, we never assumed people are missing. We're assuming the full team's there, and we know Isan was hungry, and they have shown that they can go toe-to-toe with the best teams. But if people are not showing up, they're going to get punished for it. And I think Arslan Mian definitely punished them for it. I think within the first first 4 shots, 3 of them were goals, which is insane. And I think Arslan's, I said this at the beginning of the draft. I always felt like he was drafted way too early, but I honestly have to say I had to shut up at this point because he definitely proved me wrong because he's out of control. I think he's second in terms of the points in the league. So, kudos to him. But, I will say this, the biggest thing that Isan, I assume, would be going after is Wasim Vardar. They're like, he's back-to-back hat tricks. He's the go-to guy. But Wasim didn't get a single point in this win. He had 3 assists. So he's not only a shooter, but he's a supporter. So we're firing on all cylinders on Rida's side.
Yeah, you know what, Isan, we weren't ready when the ball dropped, and plain and simple. We had 2 lines, and our first 3 shifts, they had 3 goals. So it was just a very tough start to begin with. RC had a hat trick by halfway through the first period, and it just kind of went downhill from there. We just weren't ready, and we paid for it.
Omar, were you there? You weren't there, were you?
I might as well have not been.
That's true. You were there, so you take some of the blame here.
Oh, I take a lot of the blame. And in the sense that I got there on time. I got there, I probably think I was the first person to get there. The issue for me, I think was, I hadn't done much cardio, and I don't want to make any excuses. We came out flat. Most of our team came out with I would say a chunk of our team came late or just right at the game time. Our game was delayed because of the goalies. So both goalies ended up coming. I think they're the last people to arrive for the game. But yeah, I mean, there's no excuse, right? I think we do a good job of calling out teams, so we'll call out red, and we'll basically say, look, there was no hustle, there was no drive, there was no motivation, there was really no effort. And so when you come out like that, you're gonna get slapped, and we got slapped big time. I do want to give a huge shout out to the kids. I apologize, I don't know all of their names, but the young guns on blue, they really impressed me. They
Mohamed
had a lot of
Claire and Zaid Claire
yeah,
and
they had a
Hanan
lot.
Gafour.
They had a lot of hustle, and they play very very smart hockey. So I'm actually very excited. I hear a lot of stories about how, a guy like Hamza Chaudhry came out when he was a young kid, and how he's kind of matured into this awesome player that we see today. So um, I liken those two to possibly Hamza Chaudhry, and I'm excited to see how they develop further. But kudos to Blue, a well deserved win, and I'm excited to see how you guys
Yeah.
move forward in the rankings.
So before we move on from this game, G, do you have any advice to your friend Soldiger for
Show
next
up.
week?
Well, he probably shouldn't, after a game like this, he probably shouldn't show up anymore. I mean, there's no point really, but either way, it was a game that was out of control to begin with. I think the first, what was it, like 3 or 4 shots went in. So it kind of, so it kind of, it kind of killed him at that point. I think the motivation was all gone, but like I said, it is what it is.
Yeah, well, hopefully you can do better next time.
Yeah, you write it off, you move on. What can you do?
Well, speaking of moving on, let's move on to the next one, which is game 2 was Subber versus Eclat. So this was, the two top teams at the time facing off, and it looked like Green has been unstoppable this whole season. But I guess their winning ways came to an end here.
Yeah,
So-
I really
Go ahead.
expected. Sorry,
Go ahead, Jim.
No,
ahead.
go for it.
I really expected this game to be a little bit tighter. I think, was there a last minute goal though in this game? Either way, I think it wasn't a game that I thought would fall this way. To be honest with you, I thought it would be either a 4-4 game or Green would edge out Yellow by a little bit, but it was definitely a close game. And I was telling Arf before going live, I watched Hamza play the juniors in Salam Cup, some years back now, and I knew that kid was going to be a star from the beginning. Like he was above and beyond the rest of them at that point, and it doesn't surprise me that he rises to the occasion during games like this. So
Runs in the family, man. Runs in the family, right?
For sure.
So the one thing I'm curious about, G, and I wanted to ask you this, is that we saw the 2 top teams in each division go head to head. In your opinion, because you're also a GM of one of the teams, what would be your advice to other teams if they had to play Subber and Eclat based off of what you've seen and what they're both capable of? Like what's the strategy that goes in your mind?
I think for me, it's more like more of a situation where you really have to focus on your game. So when you're going up against an opponent that is higher up in the standings, typically you're thinking about how do I defend against a team like this, right? But the reality is that you have to play, and you have to play a controlled game. If you can't control the ball, then the game is just going to go the other way because the team is that good. So you have to make sure that you keep control of that ball, play your game, and just stay focused. If you can keep that going, then you should be fine. At least should be a tight game. A perfect example is the game that we had, I think, 2 weeks ago, where we played, I think it was Eclat as well.
Yep.
I think it was 3-2, and we had like 2 people on the bench. And it was 3-2 right until like a couple of minutes towards the end of the game. That's exactly what happened. We just played our game, but we were gassed in the end. But that would be my advice for sure.
And speaking of gassed, that's kind of what happened to Green here, because they were, like, to be fair, they were missing Sajid, they were missing Razi, they were missing Farouk, some other big guns, right? They literally had 2 people on the bench. So there's just so much a team can do, right? Everyone's tired. And in Subber's case, this was the first game where we had everyone from our team show up, like without a single exception. So it was also nice to have a full team for once. So yeah, it was a good game. But I think if Green had their full squad, who knows what would have happened.
Well, speaking of the short bench, you see the times where Hamza he's a workhorse, and there were times where he's just begging someone from the bench to get onto the floor because he was just so gassed. And just to note also is that this was a tie game up till the last 4 minutes, when Suburb pulled ahead 4-3, and then they scored another goal just shortly after that. And at that point, Klaus was just so gassed that a small mistake and it goes the other way for a goal. So I agree. Probably would have been a very different game with full lineups, but it is what it is, and this is the final score.
I'm surprised my man Samad Hamidi didn't get more ice time. Samad, what happened there, buddy? You just stayed on the bench the whole time.
Someone told us that he played exactly as much as he wanted to play. So I think that he was content with the shifts that he got, and he didn't want any more, any less.
Nice. I think his GMs wanted a little bit more, to say the least.
So right. I mean, look, like one of the things I respect a lot about Ikhlas is like, and this maybe comes from like when we used to play Chell, right, on the PlayStation, and like there'd be guys who'd be like, hey, you can't play Chell like you play Iceland, right? Where one guy tries to do everything. Like you actually need to pass bucks and and play actual positional hockey. And so I think that Ikhlas does a really, really good job of that, in the sense that everybody kind of knows where they need to be, and so they don't tire themselves out unnecessarily like most teams. Like I know that even on our team, there's a couple of guys that get, we criticize them a little bit, like, hey man, you're going and you're using all of your energy, and then you don't have anything for the next shift. And so I think that they actually don't move that much because they don't need to. They're very crisp with their passes. So much respect to Ikhlas, and kudos to Sabr for the win.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next game, guys, because we also have another guest that's who's going to be joining us shortly. So we need to get through this section, and then we can invite our second guest in as well. So this was Iman versus Haya. This is obviously Jihad, your team. So regardless of how Saudagar did, he did manage to keep his promise, which was to get your whole squad out here, which I think you guys did, right?
No, we were minus Yusuf Salman, actually. But
was he still hiding in a pyramid?
His daughter was sick. He had to stay.
All right. Now I just feel like an ass.
Yeah, no, he really actually wanted to come out. I spoke to him afterwards. He wanted to come out, badly that game, just because of all the experiences we were having in the weeks before. But I think ultimately this game was, a game that we had to win, quite honestly. And, kudos to the team. They really made my job easy, playing D, and just sort of, I wouldn't even call it quarterbacking things. They just ran with it. Waqar was a beast as usual. It was a shame to see him get injured towards the end of the game. I think we were up like 3-1 or 4-1 at the time when he got injured. But, he was a beast. And then, Khalid Mufti, of course, played an amazing, solid game for us back there. 0 rebounds. It was really easy for me to play in front of him, for sure. Just going down the list here, Osama also key role in the forwards. He played on the second line, was essential to the game. Really, we just wanted to have a tight game as a squad, play our game and go from there. And it just ended up going in our favor, because honestly, myself, I thought it was going to be a tighter game, but we came out on top.
Haya is known for their defense. For me, out of my curiosity for you, Jihad, is that did you feel that the defensive strength of Haya during that game? Like for me, I think they have one of the lowest goals against. So although they're on the lesser end of the spectrum in terms of how they're doing compared to other teams, they're keeping the games very close.
Well, they're also not scoring very much.
No, and pretty bad goal differential too.
Yep.
Yeah,
well, the scoring.
Sorry, I think our forwards were just they were getting to the gaps, and they were running the ball against the boards, and it just kind of helped open things up. And it just, like I said, it just fell that way. I thought it was going to be a tighter game. Sorry.
Well, the game actually had a couple of sad sidelines, and one of them being, 3, right? There are 3 guys who, from that game, had to leave for medical purposes, and basically they got injured and they're gone for the season. So one, unfortunately, was Wakar. And I mean, we see that he finished as the first star, and he was having a great game. But unfortunately, he sprained his ankle pretty bad, and he was out for the game, and he's actually pulled out of the season. We also had Sufyan. He tore his Achilles, unfortunately, so he's
Yikes.
also pulled out. And as well, we have Akib, who has some back issues, so he also had to pull out. So, first of all, may Allah give them speedy recovery and complete recovery, inshallah. And we hope that they're all back soon. But these guys going away actually opens up spots for other people.
Well, I mean, so I wouldn't be surprised. These are top quality guys, and I think knowing their skill level, they might not be playing hockey. We might just see them next door playing volleyball. Giving a little bit of these on the other side of the rink.
Who plays volleyball like that?
Hey,
Those guys.
Apparently,
those guys do.
Yeah,
DJ
no,
Live was telling me all about it.
it's a big loss to the league. And so obviously, like Arya said, we wish them all the best and we wish them, good health. And, these guys are staples of the league, right? Guys like Wakar, guys like Akib, Suf. These guys have been here forever, right? So, Allah return them to us safely and healthy. And I hope to see them back soon.
Absolutely.
Ditto.
All right. Last game of the evening was Yakin versus Taqwa, and this ended in a 2-1 win for Yakin.
So I'd like to start this one off because
Sure, go
I'm excited for this game because both teams needed this win. Both teams were really hungry, and Taqwa came out strong in the first 3 minutes. I think Arif Bijabai, nice backhand that he scored. Beautiful. In around the crease goal. Now, I want to talk about the turning point in this game, and that was the beginning of the second period. I think it was Azhar Zafar's line was on there for Yakin, and the goalie who was Zaid Maju stopped the ball. So he stopped the ball from going in the net, and then all you see is Bilal from Taqwa hit Azhar. And Azhar took exception to that. He's like, what is this? That's a bad hit. And I know Azhar. I played with Azhar. And if he's telling you did a bad, dirty hit, I'm going to believe Azhar. He knows a lot about bad and dirty hits. So if Azhar is saying that this is bad, I'm all for it. And on that same play right afterwards, Azhar wins the draw and he scores. And I swear he looked at Bilal oh, that was for you. And then again, a few minutes later, he helps assist on the second goal that allowed Yakin to beat Taqwa. And that just shows you push Azhar. Or Yakin's a mantra on the GM side is probably like, thank God, we have secondary scoring on this team, because I think they were a little frustrated that they wanted to see secondary scoring. And there you go, Azhar is secondary scoring, and he stepped up.
Speaking of secondary scoring, Hashim over there, Shahzada, he scored his first goal, brand new to the league.
Nice.
I think he's even new to hockey. So I was really happy to see that. He was obviously very excited to get that, and then also the game-winning goal. So a very good story with that as well.
Yep. All right, cool. So we have lots to cover, so we'll move on here. So last week, the One World Halal Player of the Week was Arsalan Mia with 4 goals and an assist. This guy is ripping it up. He's, I think, just a couple of points behind his buddy Hamza. So we'll see what happens there.
I guess RC can play without Hamza. He's proving now.
That's what I was just about to say. That was the rumor, right? Is that they couldn't play without each other. So,
well, funny thing is, RC told me after the game, I'm like, RC, like you're killing it. What's going on? He's like, yeah, that guy Hanan, he called me out, said that I was drafted too early. I can't even say anything. He's on my team now.
I'm glad. I'm happy for his success. That's my success. That's my team. If RC's successful,
I've never seen a guy bash his team every single week and stay on the roster. This is great.
Hang on one second.
Publicly.
Chill. Since we are talking about Rida and Hamza and Hanan, I think it's only fitting that we introduce our next guest right about now. So the other guest that we have this week is none other than Mr. Ali Wadi. Ali, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, guys. How's it going?
Good. Welcome.
Good. Better.
So yeah, Ali, what's going on here? Your boy is ripping it up here, Arsalan.
I think it's just familiarity as well. I mean, Hamza might not be there, but we played with RC in the past. We know what he brings to the table. I'm always a proponent of chemistry, dressing room, things like that. Being mindful when drafting guys. So, I think everyone's just clicking right now. Argument. We can say that we might have the best line in our division right now. They're clicking on all cylinders. So hopefully they just inshallah keep doing it, man.
Yeah.
When are you trading Hanan?
No, it's not. Yeah, that's not part of the podcast. That's not.
Hanan, what did I put in the WhatsApp group today?
Untradeable.
Untradeable.
Yes.
I think
Is it because he knows your secrets or something?
Wait,
I'm gonna go back.
Here.
He actually hasn't been doing that. So I just going back to a guy that's like someone was saying earlier, does his job, runs his ass off when he's on. Good dressing room guy, keeps it light, and someone kind of we know what he's gonna do when he's out there. And those are the kind of guys that help build a championship team.
So on that, let me ask you this, Ali, since you're here. You traded me after 2 games, and Hanan can do nothing wrong. What does he have that I didn't? Tell me.
I think I was just in. I think Rizzy really told me not to trade you, and I think I just got trigger happy. And as you noticed that season, it was one trade after another until we got couldn't make the playoffs.
It's all good. It's all good. It was a fun season nonetheless. All right, let's go on to the next section here. We got so many guests. My windows are getting smaller here. Oh, speaking of which, here's the his buddy there, Mr. Chaudhary.
Yeah,
9 goals, 6 assists, 15 points. Like video game numbers. That's
big numbers. Yeah.
Even in PlayStation, I don't think we can hit these numbers consistently. So
well, Bucks logs on in the daytime, so I think he might be able to.
Yeah, but he plays against like 10-year-olds.
Hey, those are the difficult matches.
But he has a 4-point lead on Arslan, and then 5 on a bunch of other guys. So I see him continuing on. There's no reason why he shouldn't.
Yeah, man. All right. So we've had a couple of, quite a few transactions here. So let's get through these ones. Emma, do you want to start us off on this first one?
Sure. So Imran Sayed on Haya dropped out of the league due to injury. So there was another injury that came about. I don't think it was this past week. And as a result, Haya brought in Hussein Malik to replace him. He wasn't claimed on waivers, so he makes it all the way to Haya.
Okay. Unfortunately, we don't have pictures for these guys, which, by the way, is another thing I need to tell everyone. When we come to you guys to take headshots, not like the bad kind of headshots, like camera pictures, please, comply with our requests, because it would be nice to have actual pictures of everyone in the league. So, just a request from us. All right, here's a big one.
Whoa!
Who wants to go with this?
Well, we can
terrible players.
Hanan, you should do this one because I think they're your friends.
Yeah, they are my boys who neglect me. So, unfortunately, as I mentioned earlier, Haya's 2 GMs, Sufyan Sheikh and Aqib Malik, had to withdraw due to injury. We wish them a speedy recovery. And in their replacement, and the way GM replacement goes for everyone's knowledge is that it's just a straight replacement, doesn't go through the waiver process, is Mohammed Bilal and Shaukat Khan. Both incredible players. I believe they wear some green shorts that everyone else seems to wear except for me. And, it apparently means that you're good at hockey. I don't know. So I'm assuming they're good.
Ali, you want to talk about these guys? Because I think you have some
I don't know where you found these guys, man. Like, they're just sitting around. I don't think they're playing much hockey these days, so it's going to be interesting. No, good guys. We met a few weeks ago, and, they were interested. They're playing regularly, so it's great to have them. Great addition. Sad to see Sufyan and Waqar and Aqib bow out, but quality replacing quality for sure.
Yeah.
How do you think? Well, I was going to ask, or maybe we can ask G. Is probably G knows them as well as what do they bring to the to Haya?
Well, these 2 guys they change the face. Really, they're a huge dynamic on the team. Probably play together for the most part, but from an explosive offensive premise, you almost can't get better than this. These guys are really dynamic in that sense, especially Bubba. That guy, is probably one of the greatest players I've seen anyway personally. I just think that between the two of them, they're going to change the dynamic of that team. Definitely.
Does this change the dynamic of the league? Because all of a sudden, Haya went from being highly touted to they're in trouble, and now are they back on top, at least on paper?
I think from my perspective, more guys that we can get on the league that have this kind of talent, the better. Either way, it makes games more fun. It makes games more challenging, and at the end of the day, it's better for everybody, right? So, yeah, absolutely.
And they have the potential to leapfrog from third to second in the division, only behind Declasse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's gonna
mean,
make that division a lot
guys-
more exciting.
right. You guys were talking about Haya lacking maybe some offensive power. They're a very defensive-minded team. Well, there you go. When it comes to offense, it doesn't get better than these two. And as you can see from this picture, this is in a previous season when they won a championship together. So there's instant chemistry right there, and yeah, they're just going to make the team better. All right, so we also had Wakar, who was unfortunately injured, and I know Wakar, you're listening. Hope you're feeling better, my friend. But Orange also had to replace him. So the replacement comes in the form of this. So maybe you can talk about this one because obviously you're involved in this. So give us a little bit more insight on the trade and what happened there. Who do you have after all this?
Yeah, so basically, actually, it was Wakar that brought it to my attention initially, but he told me that Huzaifa Mandra mentioned to him that Mo Mandra was actually interested in playing. So I reached out to him and I said, hey, here's the situation. Ended up bringing him into the waiver, but before that, knowing that very likely he wouldn't drop to us, I spoke to a few of the GMs. Farouk Khan and Adil Patel seemed very interested. They asked me for his contact info, knowing that they would be picking him first, or they would have first pick at claiming him, and that Chohan would fall to us. I was okay either way. Whether we ended up with Chohan or Mo Mandra, it wouldn't have mattered to me. Both amazing guys, amazing players. Probably the best defenseman on the ML Warriors team last Slam Cup. So I mean, either way, it would have worked out in our favor, and hence the transaction. So we ended up with Chohan.
Nice. So, Omar, what do you think? What do you think Orange now looks like with the addition of Chohan on the team?
Well, we know Chohan or Adil is elite, right? We know this. Unfortunately, he hasn't been able to, or Black rather, Taqwa hasn't been able to gel. I don't know, what the issue is. I obviously not having Farouk on the back end. I think he only came for one game, and he was visibly, laboring in that game. Didn't help their case. But I think that what Chohan now achieves on Orange is familiarity, right? He's playing with his friends. It will probably be a lighter bench. In the sense that, the mood on the bench will be lighter. I think he's going to be able to play his game. I would highly recommend that they possibly consider playing him forward if he's up to that, and seeing how it goes, right? But I think that Adil Chohan will bring a different dynamic to Orange that maybe we haven't seen just yet, and definitely improve and increase the skill. I don't know if he can brute force his way to the net like Wakar could, but he definitely has the finesse and the skill and the handles to contribute in other ways.
Here's my one question for Jihad, though. So now that we know that your replacement was the first overall pick, Adil Chohan, if you were the actual team that had the first overall pick at the beginning of the season, who would have been your first overall pick that you would have wanted? Would it have been Adil Chohan, or is there someone else that was on your mindset?
No, you know what? I think, well, let me put it this way. It would have been a toss-up between Adil and Wakar. And, between the two of them, in my opinion, completely different players. Adil is very much, defensive core guy. Like, you want to build a defense around him. Whereas Wakar is your power forward, right? You want to get goals, you want to make things happen up front, you pick Waqar. So really, it all depends on your strategy going into the draft. And either one of those guys would have been my pick. Honestly, I could have tossed a coin between the two.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have mattered.
Let me throw a question to Ali here. Ali, as a GM, you're obviously seeing all this stuff happening in the GM chat group. And as you're seeing all these players and these other teams getting stronger, what's your thought? Like, are you feeling left behind? Is your team feeling left behind from all these acquisitions?
I mean, to be perfectly honest, I have like probably many GMs or the teams that are doing well. I have the utmost confidence in our group. Ask anybody kind of up and down our roster. I think everyone's happy. I think everyone's, we had a slow start. We just needed to stay with the game plan. All the guys coming in, I know personally, I played with them. Mandra's a great asset to, their East End guy, coming and joining the league, along with Baba and BJ. So, I mean, it's not like feeling left out. Obviously, you love to add them to your roster, but, having to give up someone from our current roster, I wouldn't have done it. At the end of the day, we're halfway through and taking half a season to build chemistry, to fit roles. I think we're just at a point where we're looking down that last, 5 games or so and trying to stay on the up climb and continue our momentum.
What do you guys think Mo Mandra brings to Taqwa now, and how does the dynamic change replacing him with or Adil Chauhan for him?
I think the two. Oh, sorry, if I just jump in.
I was just going to prompt you guys. Go ahead.
I think they're two different players. Mandra can play. Obviously, he preferred defense, I think, but he can play forward. If you haven't seen him play, he'll probably have one of the harder shots in the league. Physically fit, can run up and down, and can do, kind of play every facet of the game. Whereas Adil is a guy who kind of, needs the ball in his stick, likes to control from the back end, likes to set up guys, can use his shot, but rather play make first. So it kind of depends what you're looking for. I think, like someone suggested, maybe a change of scenery might help Adil. He looked a little bit frustrated, and then with Black, they're just looking for kind of any spark to get them going.
Well, I think that this will kind of free up, if I'm not mistaken, with the absence of Farouk, one of their skilled forwards was forced to play defense. And so I think bringing, Mo Mandra in definitely helps them in the sense that they'll have maybe a stabilizing force on the back end, and it might push some of their forwards. Maybe they might stack their first line. I don't know. And see how that goes.
Yep, for sure. All right. Let's move on to the next one. Let me bring that screen back. Sorry, guys, juggling all these windows. So if it's a little out of sync, my apologies. So league announcements. Since we have 2 OC members here, I'll leave the OC members to make the comments here. Go ahead, Ahmad.
Go for it, Ahmad.
Okay. So similar to past weeks, just ensure you have your proof of vaccination and photo ID when you enter the hangar and from the front door. And of course, it needs to be at least 14 days since your second dose to be eligible to enter. And at the same time, you need to ensure that you complete your COVID, the self-assessment before 3 p.m. on Friday. And if you don't, of course, then you won't make it on the list and you won't be able to enter the arena or play. It's happened in the past for a couple of guys, unfortunately, but those are the rules, and we have to abide by them because that's being in the hangar is a privilege, and we have to follow their guidance.
The other question that we were getting in mind was about the QR codes and if we're going to have to supply those this Friday. So we haven't gotten any guidance from the hangar with regards to that. So as of now, the proof of vaccination, the receipt is sufficient unless we're told otherwise. But as of this Friday, it looks like that's the case. You can just do what you've been doing all along and show the receipt.
Thanks. And the link to the self-assessment is on social media, so wherever you want to look, it's there. We ask that when you come into the arena, that you come just before your game to get ready. Changers will be available, showers will be available, but only the team will have to provide the lock. But we also ask that you leave after your game, as we're not supposed to have spectators in the arena, and wear masks at all times inside the hangar unless you're on the rink. One final thing is just social media etiquette. There have been a couple instances over the last few days where brothers from the league have made inappropriate comments. And just a reminder that, you should represent the league both at the rink and then online as well. And what you say reflects on the league. So we want to ensure that we have good standing everywhere in the eyes of everyone.
And just to add to that, if I could, Imad, is that, a lot of prospective players, they'll jump on our social media to kind of have a look at what we're doing, right? And obviously we've promoted our league as a Muslim league, a brotherhood league, and then jump on the comments and they see F words and, weird emojis and stuff like that. And that just it's not a good look. And the second thing is, as an OC, we're always looking for opportunities to bring sponsors in. And so a sponsor that might not be familiar with us will jump on our social media like anybody would to learn about the league and what we do. And they jump on the social media and they see, foul language and stuff like that. They might shy away from that. Okay. So we want to maintain a good presence and a presence that is consistent with the brand, inshallah.
And there are repercussions if you are found to comment inappropriately. So just be careful. Think before you type.
Yeah. You wouldn't talk like that to your mother. So why would you talk here? All right. So let's move along, guys. We're already 36 minutes in and we still have to cover half of our stuff here. I guess we're missing that. So we'll just go with this. So for next week or this Friday, our games are, the first game will be Haya versus Rida. So this is gray versus blue. So Ali, I'll give you the first crack at this one. What's your expectations, especially with the new look Haya team?
Well, we're expecting a bit of a spark from them. We noticed that, everyone's noticed they've been struggling offensively. So like G said, more than likely they're going to play in the same line, probably put a center between them. Instant chemistry they got right off the bat. That's the bad. The good thing is, we've played with them for the last X amount of years. So we kind of know their games. We're going to do our best to shut them down. And so, our game plan doesn't change in terms of, who's out there. I always say kind of we're in control if we play our game. I think Umar was saying, the speed of the kids, I think we have probably one of the fastest forwards cores in the league. So if we play with speed, we get down to the defensive, get down in the corners, create chances. I think we have a good chance to win the game.
What do you have to do to get Rizzy going here?
I was expecting that question. Don't worry. We've been riding him quite a bit the last few days. And so, Rizzy's the type of guy, he'll do the scores, the stat sheet might not show it, but he does a lot of things outside of the stat sheet. I think everyone knows that. Sure. Responsible center. He's playing with a couple guys who are lighting it up. And so what that does is it frees those guys to just focus on offense. Not to say that I think even Wasim and RC are one of the first guys back defensively, but they know their centerman is going to be there. They know he's going to first guy back. They know that he can make a pass, he can take a shot. Right now the bounces just aren't going. Maybe he'll get a couple to bounce his way this week for sure.
Yeah. I have two quick comments. One is, as evident by last week and Ihsan only scoring one goal, it seems that Usman Batar is not a defensive liability anymore, so it's been corrected. The second comment is, where is Imad Khwaja? He's Imad Khwaja, not Imad Hussain, and we have the same amount of points going into 5 games this season. A first-round pick, I think Haya is expecting a lot, and I'm sure he does a lot of other things for his team. But I think they're also counting him for score. So hopefully the change in personnel will ignite his scoring prowess a little bit.
Well, Mohamed Bilal, Baba, and Imad Khwaja, that's a pretty scary lineup right there. So
Lukman and Salman on the back end, that's a scary top 5.
Forget about it. Yeah. Exactly.
So I think we should play. I think you guys should play Riz with Hanan. I think Hanan is a spark that he needs.
We both play center. We'll never play together.
But you never know. You never know.
That's true. Whatever the team needs, Ali knows. I'm
there you go. See, that's why he never gets traded.
Oh. Well, the team needs this Friday, Hanan. Will you be there for your team?
No. I'm load management.
Well, hey, listen, we have G here, another GM. Jihad, can we interest you in a used centerman?
I think I'm good. But if I had to predict who's going to win this game, I would say it's going to be. I think it's going to be Rida by 1.
By 1. Okay. All right.
Last time Sodegar said by 1, they won by 6. So
And he didn't show up, so
Well, half the battle is just getting there on time, with more than 5 minutes before the puck drop or the ball drop. So
There you go.
we're giving everyone warning: leave half an hour earlier if you can, and just get there on time.
All right. Well, since we have everyone red here, well, not everyone, but a lot of us red, the next game is Saber versus Esan. So yellow versus red. With 2 representatives of Esan, what do you guys predict here?
Oh, I'm not predicting anything. All I'm going to say is that if Ihsan doesn't come with their legs and with a game plan, I think that we're going to get, for lack of a better word, I think the kids say we're going to get slapped the same way that we got slapped last week. And so that's the bottom line, right? If you're not going to show up and you're not going to show up on time, then you're just going to lose. I think right now we are in a state where we're kind of looking. We're playing with the reality that we have to get backup goalies for a bit, and so whether Imran will be in net on Friday or not, I can't say. But we expect the leaders of the team, myself, the GMs, and anybody picked in the first 3 rounds to step up. Right, step up, play hard. You're not going to win every game, but what I saw last week was just defeated faces. Right, slump shoulders. Walking back, right? Like that's not acceptable. Like you play to the whistle, you play to the end of the game, and you don't give up. It sucked that there were 4 goals on 4 shots, but that's the reality of hockey. You shoot, it goes in. Sometimes it gets saved. So I think that Ehsan especially has to come out with a better attitude. And if we can come out with a better attitude this week, then I think that we've won a portion of that battle. Saber is no slouch. Their GMs are electric. Arf yourself, you've been lighting up. I think you're leading the team right in points at this point in time. And so if we don't do a good job with our defensive coverage and play a team game, the word of the night is slapped. Right, that's exactly what's going to happen to us.
It looks like Imran Alvi is saying that he'll be back next week, inshallah. So that's
He's
good
given
news.
up his identity. Rexdale's royalty. We know for sure it's him. Long suspected, but
You knew about it.
But yeah, someone mentioned this is like the ketchup versus mustard game, and we all know that ketchup is heavily favored by most people. So we'll see if this stands true here as well.
True, but mustard brings the heat, so it's all good.
Arf, what do you guys have to do?
Yeah,
we have to have our GM show up, which they have been doing, and we've been winning whenever they do. And also I would say we have to play better defensively. I mean, as much as we've had good success, alhamdulillah, so far, we've won games, but the general sentiment on the bench and in our locker room after the game is it's usually like, guys, we played poorly, we won the game, but we could have done so much better. So I think the team's confidence level is such that we can do even better than we've done. So it's
you can do better next week, the following week.
I told
Save it for
Hamza
week
last
7.
time, Hamza Chaudhary, that listen, you're my pick for this season. Just put it on pause for the time you play us, and then you got a hat trick. So I don't think that works. Well, Wakar saying Red needs to trade.
Well, it's always fun. It's always fun to play our friends, and so I think Imad and I will have a great time playing you and Bucks. Last time I played Bucks, I ended up in the hospital. So Bucks, please take it easy on me and be gentle.
Cool.
Call him
All
after.
I second that.
All right, so the third game of the night, inshallah, will be Iman versus Taqwa. So again, 2 teams that will have new people on their teams. So Jihad, again, from your perspective, what does Iman look like? First of all, is everyone going to show up for your team? And if they do, what can we expect from you guys?
Yeah, I think ultimately what you can expect is we'll be playing our game. I think we're going to be switching certain things around now that we got Chohan. I might move up. He might quarterback D. We don't know yet, quite honestly. I still have to talk to Osama about that and Yusuf. But I think we're just going to go out there, play our game like we usually do, and then push on forward and play solid on B, and that's it. Go at it and see what happens. But without giving away too much, I think that's pretty much our game plan. And I think at the end of the day, having Chohan is going to be a big deal for us. So you're going to see a different team.
Interesting is Chohan's playing his old team right
I know,
after he
you
gets
have
traded,
written
like
a
2
better
days after.
story.
That too.
So maybe he has some insider information too to support Iman this week. But it'll be interesting to see how he reacts and what kind of a game he has playing against his old team.
I expect a big game from Adel, personally myself. Like, I think that he's a player he's a down to earth guy, but I think he takes great pride in his game. And I think that he's very hard on himself when he doesn't perform the way that he feels like he should be performing. And so I think that this will be a game where I think it's going to be a statement game. I'm predicting that from Adel Chohan.
Yeah, the one thing he told me actually after it all went down was he said I have never been traded in my entire life to a team. So this kind of shook him up to the core. Really, it did. But he was happy to play with us. So in the end, side note.
And
Technically, he went through waivers, which I don't know, might be even worse.
Yeah, actually, you're right. I have to explain the waiver process to him. That's how unfamiliar he was with the whole thing.
You're telling me nobody wanted me?
And you know what? It's also going to be fun to watch the new person, Mohamed Mandra, for a lot of people in the league who haven't seen him play. So, yeah, I'm excited to even watch that game. So, yeah, definitely looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to bring on cameras, RF, and maybe have to do a highlight reel of this game.
Yep, sounds good. We can do that.
This is Mohamed Mundra's first time in the Ice Slam, correct?
I think so.
Yep.
Interesting.
He's never played before, but he was excited to join.
And
I'll
it's a
leave it at
testament
that.
actually to what Islam has been doing with regards to media and stuff like that. Like alhamdulillah, like you guys have been doing an excellent job. I think there's a lot of buzz out there, especially with the younger kids. When they see our player profiles and the photography and the clips of the games and stuff like that. So keep it up, guys. You guys are doing a great job.
Ali, do you want to give a prediction on this Iman versus Taqwa game? What do you think is going to happen?
No, I think I'm going to stay away from predictions. I'll focus on our own team right now. Iman versus Taqwa. Yeah, I think I'll say. No, you know what? I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
He doesn't want to be a podcast pundit.
I don't want to come back to it.
You'll defer to
Yeah,
him.
Hanan is my voice right now.
I'll do it.
Wow.
I'll do it.
He's going to do it because he's not coming on Friday.
Seeing as Iman, I've always felt is a strong team. And they've shown this with the rest of the team not showing up, and it's an attribute to Farouk Sani, Ahmed Khalid, Waqar, who unfortunately is no longer here. So they're also a team where if not a lot of people show up, the team in general steps up. And now having everyone shows up is just an incredible dominating force that Iman can bring. And the thing with Taqwa is that they have not been clicking. They have all the right pieces to be a great team. They just don't have that chemistry. And I think it's actually a smart choice for them to ship Adel Chohan, just because sometimes you might have the exact same piece, a good piece, but you might have that piece multiple times, and that's not what your team needs. You need versatility in this league, and shipping Adel because you have your own Adel as a GM, and adding other components to your team is what Taqwa needs to do to shake it up. Because right now they don't have a single win, and you can't blame Adel as your first round pick. That's the reason. It's a whole team effort, and I think this is a good message for the rest of the team that no one is safe if people are not stepping up.
Yeah, Hanan.
So that's your message from Ali. Nobody's safe.
Yes.
Step up.
Ali texted me that this morning, so I'm just repeating it.
What Hanan said.
All right. Okay. So last game of the evening, it will be Ikhlas versus Yaqeen. So this is green versus white. White coming off a win, and Ikhlas coming off their first loss.
White's coming off a win, but a big but is that I don't think their GMs have contributed. I think somebody mentioned Azhar scored, and there was a Zain that scored.
Yeah.
Right. And then the previous week they were shut out by Ihsan.
Mhm.
So I think the GMs are having a little bit of difficulty putting the ball in the net.
I think they just needed some time to relax. I think this is good. They had 2 weeks to let the rest of the lines kind of step up. It allowed them to see what they have. I wouldn't be surprised to have Yakin make a trade here and there down the road. But here's the thing here's the thing that Yakin has that no other team has: Mohamed Patel, the goalie who has the least goals against on him. So he might be that solution you need to stop, Hamza Chaudhry, stop Ikhlas. Like, I think Mohamed Patel can steal games for Huzaifa, Abdul Mantra, and Kazi, and it's just up to them and the rest of the team to just net one in. And I guarantee you, as soon as you score one goal, Mohamed Patel will shut it down.
I gotta plug in my goalie here a little bit. Obviously, I'm biased, but our guy Yasser, he's had a fantastic season thus far. In fact, he's the only Iceland goalie who is playing without a defeat. So take that for what it's worth.
Nice. So yeah, the one defeat you guys did have, I think it was Fahad in that. So
yeah, like who invited that guy? Like, what does he know about goaltending?
Well, he switched to become a defenseman
exactly.
after, so
traumatized him.
I think that Yakin has a very they have a defensive core that's not talked about a lot. I mean, they have Arsenal and Kadir back there.
Yeah.
And I think my advice for Yakin against a team like Ikhlas is number one is that Yakin is a team that loves to run, but against Ikhlas you can't chase. So if you chase them around the rink, they're just going to make you pay because they're so sound positionally. So I think they're going to have to play a very structured game, and I think they're going to have to really try to plant their feet and try not to get running around and chasing too much. I'm not going to make a prediction either in this game, but I am going to say that Ikhlas has thoroughly impressed me this season, and so I think Yakin needs to come prepared.
I tend to shy away from controversial comments, but I'll make one here just for fun, since you guys have got me in the mood for this. I think this game, Ikhlas and Yakin, it will be the one and only deciding factor, whether Yakin wins or Ikhlas wins, will be, does Ikhlas's GM show up? If they do, Ikhlas wins. I'm sorry, but I don't think Yakin can deal with Ikhlas's firepower here.
Well, not just the GM, right? I mean, they have Rezi as their first round pick, who's like a key part of that offense, right?
GM and first round, right? Kind of hold
Sherry
them
in round 2.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think you guys are underestimating Mohamed Patel. I think he can shut the door. It's just up to Yakin to get that one.
Okay. All right. So this was our last game. So I'll give the floor to our guests here to wrap it up. Jihad, any comments on the last game, Ikhlas versus Yakin, and just overall, what are you looking forward to this week?
Not much really to say here, other than the fact that I'll have to agree with you on your comment towards the end there. I think if Sajid shows up and the rest of their GMs show up, Ikhlas is I'm gonna say that they're gonna win that game for sure as well. I'm gonna say that Sabr hands down beats Ihtan, only because Saragar's on the red team and he's to bring no value. Outside of that, I think the games are going to be really tight this week, and it's going to be a good week. It's going to be a fun week. Definitely competitive, especially with the extra guys coming in.
Yeah, Ali, last thoughts.
Well, I'm gonna post a thought for the following week.
Sure.
So I'm gonna throw a curveball here. So Arif, just bring your cameras for October 29th.
Okay.
Okay. So it's gonna be a good game. Okay. So there's a lot of banter going back and forth between us and Ikhlas, and there's a lot up for grabs on that one. Okay. So I'm just gonna leave you with that one there.
Is that Ikhlas versus Rida?
Yeah, it's a shout out to my boy Sajid there. So.
Anyone in particular I should have my camera focused on during that game?
You can focus on me. You can focus on Sajid, Usman, whoever you want. It's going to be super hockey.
Nice.
Don't focus too much because we don't want anything going back to the OC later on about, incidents or things like that, right? So
vulgar language.
We'll turn our microphones off then.
Microphones and in the corners, don't go too tight in the corner.
Okay.
I think we may need to get Sajid on the podcast next week to rebut before the game.
Oh, good luck with that one.
But, or Mr. Butler as well, because as Hanan says, it's always butter with.
but I'll give the shout out here. I think Hamza should step up and do next week.
Which Hamza? There's three of them.
Hamza Chaudhry.
Yeah, he's more than welcome to come and join, Hamza. So I know you're listening. So yeah, absolutely, join us. Cool. All right, boys. Well, with that, once again, a huge thank you to Jihad as well as Ali for joining us. It's awesome to have you guys here. It's always nice to get perspective from a GM, but also you guys are so well knowledgeable about the game and have so much experience. It's always great to hear from you guys. And of course, to my line mates here, Ahmad, Omar, and Hanan, thank you as well. And last but not least, we make dua that all our brothers who got injured, may they have speedy recovery, and for Allah to protect everyone else as we play, so that we can continue to play without any injury.
I mean,
All right, boys. All right, guys, have a good one, and inshallah, we'll see you on Friday.
Assalamu
Take
alaikum.
care, guys.
Guys.
Assalamualaikum.
Yes.
Assalamualaikum.